right, people, welcome back to the Purple Friday Show, episode 233. Obviously, the Ravens did not play this past weekend, so I didn't grow any more gray hairs.
Same.
Like, I chilled this weekend, just kind of watched my fantasy football teams. They all made the playoffs, so I'm happy about that. Paying for some money the next few weeks, so hopefully, if I could just win one of them, I'll be happy. Let's just win one, but I'll take the whole three.
Nice.
Pause. I'll take all
wow. Starting off crazy already.
How was y'all bye week Sunday/Monday?
Mine was good because my heart wasn't racing at all. It was just, I was just kind of relaxed. I was watching the games a little disgruntled still because I was still kind of pissed off. It'd have been way nicer if we got to sit back and relax after a win, but it is what it is. And yeah, I mean, it was cool not to have a dog in a fight, but a couple of teams let us down that didn't handle business this week, but I guess we'll get to that. But other than that, I could use another bye week, honestly, but I'm ready to get back to it at the same time. I know Lamar's ready to get back to it, but yeah, not too shabby.
Yeah, I felt like I got a chance to do some self-care, after all the heartbreak this season. When I was in Denver Friday, so I came across a bunch of Broncos fans, got to talk trash to them, and I came across a Raider fan who was like, "Man, I think y'all are the last team we beat." Not true, but he had to rub that in my face.
Yeah.
But
hey,
Sunday.
My bad.
But Sunday, Sunday, oh yeah. Dang. Yeah.
2 minutes into this. 2 minutes into
this is my bye week. It was about self-care, bro. Yeah, so Sunday, watch some games, cook some Wagyu patty melts for the kids.
That's delicious.
Yeah, man.
We're gonna talk at the show about that. We're gonna put me on.
Hey, man.
I
got you, bro. But yeah, just some self-care and just relaxing, man. Like you said, it was good not to have heartbreak. So yeah, I'm ready to rock, man. I think, after this weekend, I think I messaged y'all and I was like, yep, I'm ready. Next week we back. You know what I mean? No more heartbreak going forward, hopefully.
Yeah, I think it's just crazy. Like, we're getting ready now, go into week 15 of the season. Like, it feels like it just started like a couple weeks ago, and now it's about to be over. Like, it's just I don't know. It just feels like it flew by. But every year it feels like it just flies by, right? But obviously we saw, during bye week there were a few press conferences and stuff. I think they had a practice yesterday. It rained, so they went into the bubble, but apparently reporters said that Justin Tucker was out there in the rain kicking field goals on the practice field, working on his kick. Harbaugh, obviously they asked him about, where is Justin Tucker's mentals, where is he at? And he said, I think he's in a good space, whatever that means. I think he's in a good space. But then I think it was interesting that they brought up, obviously the disgruntlement with Deontay Johnson and where that was, or not just Deontay Johnson, but around the team, and like a Freudian slip. John Harbaugh, oh, you meant the wide receiver room? Like, no one asked him about the wide receiver room. They just said issues with the team and people, with Marcus Williams and Eddie Jackson and stuff like that. And he went immediately to the wide receiver room. Same issues we had last season. Right, the J.K. Dobbins situation. I'm not getting my carries. I'm not, getting the touches I need on the field, and he's eventually left the team. But now we're seeing the same situations, right? Deontay Johnson, kind of speaks out a little bit, but then I think Bateman on either on Instagram or X or whatever, he kind of piggybacked off what Johnson said. I think what we've seen over the last 2 years now, around this same time. This is not it doesn't appear to be a guys are, siding with Harbaugh kind of situation. They seem like everybody is siding with the players on this, regardless of the situation, how people felt about Deontay Johnson not going into the game. I feel like he did have his reasons. I'm pretty sure he felt a little hurt that he's, this guy was a, top 10 wide receiver, for the Steelers, while he was with the Steelers. And here he is having to play lose snaps to Nelson Aguilar and Tyler Wallace. So I feel like, he feels some type of way. And then it also just feels like the Ravens literally have him on the roster just to get that, fifth round or pick, whatever, the conditional pick that it's going to be. Mm-hmm. So I get it. He feels something. He wants to go out there and play. But it also does feel like the players, they feel the sentiment. The sentiment is there in the building, I think, for the Baltimore Ravens. Do you think that gets addressed? We saw it last year, right? J.K. Dobbins gets gone. Obviously, what's going to happen, I would assume Marcus Williams will probably get either traded or released. Eddie Jackson he's already been released. And Deontay Johnson will be, become a free agent. So for a hardball standpoint, it feels like, oh, it's gone. I don't have to deal with this anymore. But it feels like no matter who they bring in, whether it be draft picks or whoever, there's not just on the receiver room, it's everywhere. It feels like in that Ravens locker room now.
Yeah, I think it's tough. It does seem like it's starting to become a reoccurring theme. Can it be fixed? I don't know if it can be fixed this season, but I mean, if the NFL has taught us anything, winning kind of cures all. So I think that's going to have a lot to do with how things go. I think losing some of these games played a big part in that wide receiver room as well, because as you know, when we're winning, for the most part, our receivers are not complaining, no matter what the production may be. But it's very understandable that these things keep happening when the way we've been losing has always been kind of directly correlated with mismanaging games and not utilizing your weapons and things like that. And some frustrations, I had personally is, like let's say Zay Flowers, for example. If you remember, like several games back, probably the game that we played the Commanders, and Zay Flowers went off in a half. He had like 100 and some yards receiving in one half of football. He went on for like the next few weeks to get 100 yards receiving. And then out of nowhere, it's just production just took a dip. Zay Flowers, I think, was the top 5 receiver coming off of that, those performances. And it just seems that, they're not going to him as often. They're not getting him, involved as much as, it seemed like he could be. But, at the same time, it's kind of understandable because we're also kind of had some urgency to run the ball more too. So it's kind of like you have to balance both of those things. And, a lot of times, like I said, when you're winning a game, it's a non-issue. Guys are unselfish, but when you're losing a game, it kind of brings you back into that mentality. It's like, well, we wouldn't be losing the games if I would get the ball more. And I think that kind of happens, not even just with the Ravens, but I think around the league. I'm not sure if this is necessarily a Harbaugh issue, like I like to call all these other issues. I just think it's one of those things where it's kind of out of his control. I will probably put this more on EDC because maybe he didn't properly, vet Deontay coming in and understanding what his goals were coming over to this team, because I think that is important to get a clear understanding of, we're making this trade for you. These are what the expectations are. And I think what the Ravens' expectations was for Deontay were different from his own perception of what his expectations were for himself. And sometimes when those things misalign, you can have situations like this occur. I think it happens more often than what we think in the league. But all in all, like I said, it was one of those things that we're just going to have to deal with. Like I said, more chances than not, he's not going to be here next season anyway. But we still have issues that we're going to have to deal with in that room. We still have Rashad Bateman, who's still inconsistent. You have Zay Flowers, who's going to want the ball even more coming in multiple years in the league. So, there's still some things to deal with. Deontay's, I don't think was, it seems like he's the sole problem. But, when we're losing games the way we're losing games, issues are going to create themselves right in front of you too. So we got to win games, honestly. And I think the more we win, the less you'll hear about it.
Yeah. I just wish like we had a competent head coach that could, set the tone and set the expectation with somebody coming in like, hey, this is how we're going to use you, or find a way to use them. I mean, at the end of the day, Rashad Bateman ain't had no 800,000-yard season, nothing like that. Nelson Aguilar, I doubt he's come close. So you got a guy that's proven a guy that was hot early this year. Let him cook. I mean, y'all, we expect him to cook off of 3 snaps a game. Um, you got to let a guy get acclimated to your system. So I kind of like changed course. I was like pissed off at Deontay, but I'm shooting him hella bail. I might be bailing him out of jail right now because I mean I feel like my man's been put in such an awful circumstance, and there's a lot of blame to go around with this situation. It's a lot of blame from Monken to Harbaugh to EDC to Deontay himself, but it's not. I think about us as like employees in a role, and you get moved to another department and you have a skill set that you could just kill it in your role, and then nobody allows you the freedom to do what you do best. That's frustrating. That's frustrating. You don't want to work there anymore. So I look at it like that with the situation, and you know, a fan that has seen how EDC operates, I just feel like this was a slick way to get some comp picks, hoping that they can get a 4th rounder, or I doubt a 3rd rounder, but hoping they can get something like that in exchange for swapping late round picks. And I feel like that was the gist of this move. Like nobody else is really putting up the capital for him. Let's go in here, get a quick finesse. He walks in the off season, we get comp picks. So like that's a weird way. I mean, it's smart as a person that drafts players and you're trying to strategize that, but when you think about culture and doing what's best for your team that has a small Super Bowl window, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, and you're disrupting the culture. So like, there's a lot of blame to go around, man. It's just unfortunate. There's so much more we could have done. I think about, what was it, a 5th round for Za'Darius? There was something else. There was another trade that we could have made. We had Calais
Preston
Campbell
Smith
in
was like
play.
that too. Preston Smith was like
Yeah,
a
Preston
fourth
Smith.
round, late 4th round pick.
Yeah.
It's just a lot, man. And it's like we did nothing but trade for a guy that we didn't use, and we're just going to get a comp pick for. So
Yeah, I was just looking at Zay's stats the last few weeks, and in that middle part of the year, he was getting, I think, 7 catches for 111, 9 for 132, and he had 7 for 115, 5 for 127.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, I think around the Bengals game, 34 yards, 39 yards, 62, 74. Like now he's not even getting the targets now because his catches are like 3 and 2. Like he's not even getting the targets that he used to get. Like in the middle of the season, he was getting, I would assume, close to 10 targets a game, at least. Now he's getting maybe 5. He's been cut in half, like his targets. And I was just like, thinking to myself, I think the other day, just like how this offense has changed drastically from October to now. Like we don't see the toss plays anymore. We don't see the wheel route stuff. We saw some drag routes. We saw more levels, like wide receiver routes and stuff. We haven't seen any. They've gone back to what they did at the end of the season last season, where everything's 30 yards downfield. We're looking for the home run ball. They get behind the 8 ball in these games, even though it's the second quarter or early in the third quarter. They're down by 6, and it feels like the Ravens are trying to score 10 points in one play. That's what it feels like. It feels like the Ravens are trying to score all their points back in like 1 or 2 plays. Instead of, hey, let's calm down, get focused, and we play our offense, we can go get these points. And you would assume now with the defense playing the way it has been that they would be more comfortable, more confident in doing things like that. We saw that in the Tampa Bay game. They were down like 10 points in that game until Marlon Humphrey gets his interception. But they didn't panic. They continued to run the football. They played their offense, and then they won the game by 14 points, something like that. So we've seen them do this. We saw it last year. But for some odd reason, once we get into December and January, the Ravens just lose focus about what they do. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a narrative that Harbaugh wants Lamar to be the top quarterback in the NFL. Like he, maybe in more of a selfish reason that Harbaugh wants to be the reason, feels like he wants to be the reason why Lamar is like that elite passer. that he wants to show off Lamar so that he can get the accolades, right? Because I think he gets the accolades for he's been a tenured head coach, he's been around the league for over 12 years, and he's won a Super Bowl, but that was way back. And while his brother, on the other hand, has been, he's done everything. Like he's gone to the NFL, he's got to the Super Bowl, turned Colin Kaepernick into an elite quarterback, gets out of San Francisco, takes Michigan to a national championship game, wins there. Comes back to the Los Angeles Chargers, has them competitive in 1 year already after losing a lot of their offensive talent, and they're 8-5. They're the same record we are. I think it's the same record we have. So in 1 year, like you think with a draft, or a draft and free agency, the Chargers could be well on their way to being a solid team next year, being a serious contender next year, especially with the way the defense has been playing. And I feel like John is feeling that pressure now. Like his window is closing. He can feel it. So it's like it feels like he's pressing Lamar and Monken in the offense to just air it out on every play. And it's just not working, which is like why Lamar feels, I think, why we see the hesitancy from Lamar. I feel like Lamar was a lot more comfortable when the offense was a lot more diverse. And he could throw the 5-yard routes. He could throw the little 7-yard routes and stuff. But if you're asking your quarterback, I need you to throw 30 yards almost every other play, I would hesitate too on a lot of stuff.
They're almost like reverting back almost. It's like there was a point in the season, like you said, where the offense seemed a little bit creative and the Ravens were throwing in a few wrinkles here and there, not like major things, but like even just line of scrimmage things. Like remember those few weeks where they were just like motion receivers outside, like and things like they were throwing off coverages of the defense and things like that. And for some reason, we just kind of went away from all of that. And it seemed like it's like almost they were, elevating, and then he reached a peak and we coasted there for a little bit and things were looking good. And out of nowhere, it's just like all the creativity just left the building. And I'm not sure what it is. I'm not sure if it's just like pressure to do more of certain things. I'm not sure if it was because it was taking them out of what their norm is and they're just not comfortable outside of the norm. But they got to figure it out, because like I said, it was kind of like a breath of fresh air when we were seeing some of those wrinkles they were throwing in. We were seeing those toss plays a little bit more frequently. They were a little bit more effective. Now it's kind of like, if we get down, they just kind of abandon ship and they just do the panic. They just do what they do when they get in panic mode, and it just goes downhill. So hopefully they can get back in their creative bed. And by creative, I don't mean like trick plays and this, that, and the third. I mean just like being unpredictable. That's what I mean. Yeah. And I just think over the course of the last few weeks, we've just been like overly predictable. I think that also plays directly into the fact of why Zay's not getting the ball, and it's hard bringing Deontay on and things like that. I think Monken has to get back in his bag. Like for some odd reason, it just seemed like he has not been.
Yeah, it's kind of like we've been talking the past couple weeks about like Lamar starting out slow. He's inaccurate. He's wild all over the place. We went away from, like, early in the season, we went away from like those quick passes early to Zay, get some quick yards. I think Tampa Bay, we got the ball to him early and he went off. Maybe it wasn't Tampa Bay, but it was one of those games. But early in the game, you see us establish a rhythm, run, quick throws. Like, we had momentum going, and that allows us to take that into the rest of the game. Now it's like, I think the last couple games we've seen dive to start the game, or dive, sack to start the game, trying to
run up the middle, the worst part of the offensive line, up the middle.
Yeah.
No gain or losing yards.
Yeah, so I think the last two games we went 3 and out on our first drive after, I think, a team scored, or like they end up scoring after that. But it's not something that we can continue. We got to get back to establishing the rhythm early. This team is at its best when they're able to impose their will early. So yeah, I don't know. It's like, we always go from what works well when it comes to Harbaugh. We find something, it's going good, and we take it away. I don't know if he's overthinking it. I don't know if he's outsmarting himself, which is kind of difficult because he's not that smart. But like, it seems like that's the thing. I think last year it was how much we were utilizing Keaton. It was, getting Justice the ball on some screens or running the wheel route. In the playoffs, it was running the ball, period. Like, we just seem to always do that. And that's going to be the downfall of this team. We go away from what we do well way too easily.
It feels like John wants, because we understand John doesn't know scheme and all this other stuff, but it definitely does feel like John wants to win a certain way. That's what it feels like. And he like overrides whatever Monken and them have plans for. I want to do this. This is what I want to do. That's how I want to win. And they're like, okay. Now I was just looking at the game log for Lamar, right? Outside the Bengals games, because those games counting down what I think we won by 1 point in one, and the other one was overtime. So minus those games. Every other game, the Ravens have lost outside of one. When Lamar throws for more than 32 passes, we lose. It was the same formula under Flacco. We knew if Flacco threw over 35 times, we were going to lose that football game. Lamar is not a Josh Allen. He's not a Herbert. He's not a guy that's going to throw 45 times a game. That's just not Lamar. And that just shows, obviously, when you look at those games where they lost, you can also see they're not running the football as much. Or they're not being effective when they're running the football. And it's when you look at the stats, it's just like, it's that Lamar hero ball thing. Please go save us. Please. Like, there's nothing else we can do. Like, our hands are tied, we're handcuffed. We can't do anything else. Yeah. And here we are again, right? When you watch that, was it that Bills Rams game, right? Where Josh Allen goes and scores 6 touchdowns, right? It didn't feel like, you felt like the defense for sure let him down. But everybody else on the offense, running back, tight end, wide receivers, everybody played their part. It feels like on the offense sometimes when Lamar needs help from everybody else, nowhere to be found. It's nowhere to be found. Nelson Aguilar dropping passes. Zay's not getting enough targets. All that stuff. So,
and just look at that stat that we talked about early in the week. I mean, anytime Lamar has a passer rating of under 114, we've lost every one of those games.
Yeah,
every game, every win that we've had, Lamar's passer rating has been at least 114.
Yeah,
that's very telling about the rest of your football team.
Yeah.
Very, very telling.
You would think, with John always talking about analytics, right? Always talking about the statistics. That's probably something you should look at. Look at that. Like, maybe our quarterback is more efficient when he's not throwing as much. We're putting it in the hands of everybody else. Like, where are the jet sweep passes? Where the underneath. It infuriates me. Like, when I watched that Rams-Bills game, they were doing everything. Both sides of the ball. Like, Bills offense and the Rams offense, man. I was just like,
wow.
Do stuff like that.
Yeah.
We just do stuff like that. And it's
we motion almost every play. Like,
yeah.
We're not even like, what are we doing? Who are we really confusing?
I don't get it. It was like last year when they kept motioning Ricard. When they kept motioning Pat Ricard. They put him in motion. Like, you're not doing nothing.
Yeah.
That's it.
He hit the football and we fumbled a couple of times.
Yeah.
We got snapped off with the timing off. Like, like Corey said, no screens either. What happened to we were efficient. I was surprised at how efficient especially with
we were.
Justice Hill.
When Justice Hill gets the ball,
he's out. He's gone.
But you guys said they're taking too long in the game now to get guys involved. So you can't expect Nelson Aguilar late in the third quarter when you haven't thrown to him all game. All right, and the guy catch this big third down on 3rd and 8. He's probably not going to catch it. But that's what I mean. You got to get even Bateman. Like, at a certain point, like there were you would get Bateman 2 to 3 catches, 2 to 3 targets early in the game. Same thing with Zay. Get him 2 to 3 targets. Right? Like, you got to get guys more involved. And he said you don't have to do 20-yard passes. Give these guys, like, let them run. Just let them. If they're playing in zone coverage and stuff, they're just running around anyway. Let them get a spot in the zone, get them 4 yards, and they can yak it up. Get those yak yardages. Like again, I said this. I think I said this last year. It's too often now that they're expecting Lamar to throw 40 yards down the field instead of Lamar just throwing a 10-yard route and then taking it 30 extra yards. You got to start letting these players make plays for your quarterback. They're putting it all on Lamar, putting it all on him. But with disgruntlement, and obviously that's been happening with the Ravens, there's some other disgruntlement happening in Philly. Even though they've won 9 games, you know, you would think everything should be copacetic, but apparently it isn't. AJ Brown comes out and says, you know, we asked him, you know, what the issue is with the offense, and he's like, you know, passing. Kind of just blatantly said that. Then Brandon Graham gets on a podcast and he adds his 2 cents in and saying, you know, like, you know, I don't know what's going on with those two. You know, they're usually cool and stuff and all that other stuff. And AJ Brown comes back and says, oh, he's just emotional. Brandon Graham is emotional, and you know we're good. And then AJ Brown puts out the Joker thing on Instagram, so that adds a whole nother element. And I think this would be nothing if not for what happened last season around the same time. This happened around week 12, week 13 last year. They were 11-0. They were doing their thing, and they fell apart right at the seams. Same stuff happened. AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts not clicking. It's clear to me, Jalen and AJ, I know everybody's saying all their friends, they're not. Whatever happened last season, I don't think we ever got the true story about what happened. Whatever happened last season has not fixed mend fences. Has not happened. Because clearly there's an issue. Because AJ Brown, look, you know, he's looking at his like targets and stuff. And you know, remember, was it last year? He was averaging like, I think in the first 10 games of the season, he was like averaging like 130 yards a game.
2 touchdowns. Right.
He was gonna break everybody's like he was on track. He was on track to break like 2,000 yards receiving. Like he was killing it. And then all of a sudden it just stopped. But that also changed this year. Once they realized how effective Saquon is, the entire offense now revolves around Saquon.
Yep.
Completely. Like revolves around, like to the point where Jalen Hurts is not even really throwing the football anymore. What do you have, like 19 attempts? I think this last game, even against us,
19 for 191. No, he had 14 for 108. In the game
14.
against us, he went 11 for 18 for like 118.
He's not even throwing the football anymore. He's not even throwing the football anymore. I don't know if that's a Jalen thing or Kellen Moore thing or Nick Sirianni thing. I don't know, but clearly the offense revolves around Saquon now. And so obviously AJ feels upset. He's like, I want my targets. I'm pretty sure there's some kind of clause in his contract for, you know, those accelerators where if he gets a certain amount of yards or touchdowns, that he gets a bonus, a huge bonus. He's not getting his targets. But here we go again with your team that's 9-0. You're probably a win. You're what? Like I think they got to play the Commanders one more time. You're 1 win away from locking up the division and at least a home game. At a team that's won 9 straight games, you shouldn't be having issues like this.
Yeah.
Right. So is this a Nick Sirianni thing? Like, why does this keep happening? It's 2 years now.
I honestly think it's an AJ Brown thing. Honestly, I don't know if it's Nick Sirianni. Like Nick Sirianni, he gets the blame for a lot, but this might have more to do with the individual. I mean, we're not in the locker room, so it's all going to be speculation anyway. But I think the key is cohesiveness, and the Eagles, they just don't have it. And for some reason, in back-to-back years, their cohesiveness has declined at crucial parts of the year. I mean, we've seen them have a similar stretch and then just lose out damn near to close out the previous season. So, like, I think obviously it's a passing concern for AJ. I think that is where his frustration has come from. This is also not the same Jalen Hurts that has been providing him with the productivity that he's used to. No fault to Jalen Hurts, I don't think. I just think the game plan, like you said, Miles, it's now 100% centered around Saquon Barkley. And that was the criticism of Nick Sirianni. So Nick Sirianni, he made the adjustment. Okay, this offense now runs through Saquon Barkley. There will be no games where there'll be shortage of Saquon Barkley being used. We're going to run him through the ground, and we've been winning games because of it. So Do I blame Nick Sirianni? Not really. I can't. Nick Sirianni can't. He can't. Pat AJ Brown on the back after every game and say it's going to be all right. Like this, just even he's going to feel that way. AJ Brown is a you know elite receiver. He expects his productivity, and his offense just isn't really built for that anymore. And in fact, I would even say like in the last few games, I think Devontae Smith, when he's been healthy, has kind of been more of the highlight because he's been getting all of the deep throws down the field, on the scoring plays and things like that. So like when Jalen is throwing the ball, it seems like a lot of those spectacular plays have been going to Devontae Smith. So yeah, AJ's frustrated, especially when you got Jahan Dotson getting catches over you instead as well. So it's like, I get his frustration, but at the same time, sometimes you got to put that ego to the side. And I think it's just too many egos in that locker room right now. Like I said, AJ, he's one of those receivers. He's, the receivers we're used to, like in the 90s when, you complain about not getting the ball, and then 2000s, they don't get the ball, and, you hear about it. And I think it's just one of those things. And Jalen is probably just, he's not the quarterback to get talked to a certain way. And he's just going to get pushback every opportunity he can. And I'm sure that causes some friction. But, if you want to say it's Nick Sirianni's fault, maybe, because the game plan just is what it is now. And I'm sure he had to make that call because he was going to get booed out of Philly anyway if he didn't. But I think it's more of an ego thing. And I don't know what kind of incentives AJ has in his contract, but maybe that has some factor in it as well. But it's just what it is now, and he has to get over that because Saquon Barkley is the best player on your football team, period. So, at the end of the day, you kind of got to move to the side. Like, I'm sorry, like the game plan doesn't run through you anymore. Y'all not going to win games if you're the star on that team going forward. I mean, you're still one of the best receivers in the league. I would love to have you on my football team, but this is, I think, is an AJ thing. This is also, he's had these similar issues in Tennessee. So this is not like unique because of this season or last season. Like, he left Tennessee for a reason as well. There was also some stuff that he had going on over there, similar issues with quarterback controversies and all kinds of things. So, yeah, I think it's more the individual. I can't really blame Nick Sirianni for this. I mean, he's doing whatever he got to do now to win these games, and that's coming off of a lot of criticism he was receiving for the way he was, calling these games. But yeah, I can't blame him for that.
Man, I'm not blaming AJ Brown. Get him the damn ball. Get that man the ball. Like, I go back to the same thing I was saying with Deontay, man. Like, you pay me all this money. You took me from my old situation where I wasn't winning a thing. You brought me to this situation. You made me the guy. I go from getting 10 targets a game to barely any targets a game. Like, we've changed the whole offense. I came here to be the man, to get paid, and to win. All three of those things. Not one, not two, but all three of them things. And you're not using me. We saw when he was hurt what this team looked like. He's clearly one of the most valuable pieces. Yeah, they're winning with Saquon, but they can definitely be winning a lot better if the passing game was more efficient, if they targeted A.J. Brown. They would be barely beating the Carolina Panthers when Xavier Leggett can't catch a ball.
Crazy.
They would be clearly winning. They would be such a better team if they use your weapons. If you don't use your weapons, you're bound to lose. If you don't use what you have, you're bound to fail. And I understand his frustration. He probably has a lot of frustration with Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is a mediocre thrower. We know this. He's no Lamar Jackson. It was the reason why he lost his job in Alabama. It's the reason why he struggled early on when he got in the NFL, because he's a mediocre thrower. But he has an A.J. Brown. So you can scheme up some stuff for A.J. to give him the ball, and A.J. can take over. He's that good of a player. He's always been that good of a player. So I'm with him. Like, You have a right to be frustrated. You have a right to complain. Would I do all that subliminal stuff in the media? Nah, that's just. But voice it and channel it to the person that can actually make the change, and that's your head coach. That's your head coach. They're looking a mess right now, though. If this joint blows up, it's gonna blow up in the next 3 weeks because
Yeah.
the trajectory is going up.
They got the
Because you
Steelers,
got
right?
They got the Steelers, Commanders,
ooh,
Cowboys. Now, I know
Steelers,
the Cowboys are
Commanders.
down
ooh.
bad, but that's still a
That
divisional game.
Commanders game could be it. The Commanders game could be it
That's right. That can be
because
for the division. That's for the division right there.
yeah,
And
like
look, I'll say I don't think Jalen Hurts escapes criticism from this too, because you usually you don't call out your quarterback, right? That's one thing you don't do in the NFL. You don't call out your QB, especially in the public. But at the same time, they were saying the same thing happened last year, and he didn't do anything to resolve it. I'll tell other quarterbacks have said on other shows have said a lot of times when this stuff kind of comes up, you go get an interview, get to the podium, you get the media and stuff. Hey, I need to make sure I get so and so the ball more. It's my bad. I'm not playing up to my level. Whether you mean it or not, you need to dissolve this because again, you're a team that's won 9 straight games, but here we are and everybody else talking about the fact that y'all seems like you're having the same issues you had last season when this happened, when y'all imploded and got knocked out in the first week of the playoffs. Yeah, you're still winning football games, but like Travis said, you're not winning them convincingly against teams you should be blowing out. So if you go into the NFC playoffs, and you go to the playoffs, you got the Packers, you got the Vikings there, these other quality teams. Don't lose the first round. Don't lose the first round because here we go again, right? Here we go. But again, I don't know. Jalen, I think Jalen could squash at least most of this by at least just saying something, throwing a smoke screen, so to speak. Just a lot of times when you're the quarterback, you got to take the victory. You take all the accolades when you win, but you also take all the issues when you lose. But when stuff happens on the team, at some point, I got to be the leader of the team. I got to be the leader of the team. And whether I mean it or not, I got to diffuse this. This can't be continuing because once the media gets a hold of stuff and the narrative starts getting pulled, getting thrown around, eventually what you initially meant comes back to you. And you're like, you know what? Maybe I meant something else. It's that game of phone tag where they add stuff on or take stuff off the message, and then things get back, and now I don't know. In the world of podcasting and everything else, and guys can go on different podcasts, players and stuff like this, stuff gets said. So
I think I shot Nick Sirianni a little bit too much bail too. I want to take some of that back because because ultimately, his responsibility is team culture and as an organization. I mean, you are supposed to be the leader of men, and I understand that some of that blame falls on Jalen and some might fall on AJ or whatever, but I think Jalen might legit just don't bang with him.
I think that too.
I'm just good off you, and I think these guys are literally just showing up to work like they're just going to work and then going home. Mm-hmm. So ultimately that is the responsibility of your head coach and formulating culture. And I think it's just some stuff that probably spilled over from last season. And now that they're not winning the way, certain players wanted to look, then it's probably, kind of like escalating a little bit more right at the perfect time. So, yeah, I want to take some of that bail money back because, I mean, he ultimately brunts the blame, overall, because he is supposed to be in charge of that culture over there, and it's starting to repeat itself.
All right, moving on to another game. The Dolphins beat the Jets. And I only mention this is because the Jets have been officially eliminated from the playoffs contention. After all the hoopla for the last 2 years, we've been hearing about Aaron Rodgers and what he was going to do with this Jets team, and
he's out.
They're out. They're done. And Aaron Rodgers has gone on, I think, Pat McAfee's show and mentioned what he's done. He's felt like he's great in New York, and He doesn't want to leave, and I think he intends on playing another year or wants to be there another year. But the way the ownership group is with Woody Johnson and them, I feel like they would give him another chance. So I do. Like they gave him everything else initially, right? And I feel like for them, they don't know where to go from here. Right? They don't know where to go. I feel like Aaron needs to hang it up. He needs to. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's won 4 MVPs, in the Super Bowl. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. But the way he's been handling this situation on and off the field, you get Devontae there. Everybody thought they were going to – have they won a game? Have they won a game since Devontae got there?
I think they won
one?
Maybe one.
They're 2-9 or whatever it is.
I think they got one since he's been there. I can't remember.
One game.
Yeah.
We know Devontae ain't gonna be there next year. At least he shouldn't be there next year. What happens to what happens if you're the Jets? What do you do? I ask you. You're the GM.
Low that is.
Woody's saying. Woody Johnson's like, I'm gonna let you make the decision.
Listen, Aaron Rodgers, congratulations, man. You did it. You did it. It's done. Like you blew your Achilles out, came
Great
back
career.
Stronger than ever, and you're still not hurt yet. You didn't re-injure it. Like you did it. Like you did it.
You made it through the season.
That was the goal. You made it through the year. Only got a few games left. Don't matter what happens now on. You're out of the playoffs. You did it. Now, as far as the organization, like you can't afford to lose nothing else. It's time to rebuild that thing. Get Garrett Wilson up out of there. Let him flourish somewhere else. Get some, get some capital for him back or whatever. Like, let your team it's time to rebuild. Like you have to, first of all, Aaron Rodgers, you just gotta throw in a peace sign. Like he's cooked. Like even I know he'll be an additional year removed from his injury, but just watching the games, it doesn't look right. I mean, no offensive team in the NFL in the league right now is benefiting from a quarterback that can't escape.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's literally no value for a quarterback that can't do much. Kirk Cousins, his time might be coming up too. But Aaron Rodgers, the way he just looks, it tells you everything you need to know. It's really not much to talk about. There's no future for the Jets if it includes Aaron Rodgers. I think it's time to move on. It's been time to move on. And let some of those stars on your team go, man. Like, I mean, I get Sauce, you guys drafted him. That's going to be, he's not going to be anywhere. You're probably going to start building the defense around him at some point. But, because he's your most, I guess, valuable pick at this point, especially starting next year. I'm not sure how they're going to draft, but yeah, and let 5 go, man. Let Devontae's, he's not staying there. Let 5 go, trade him to a team that, where he can go and flourish. He's a lot better than what he looks like in New York. And we've seen flashes of it over, the last couple of seasons or whatever. But he deserves a better opportunity. But all in all, like they just gotta start over, start from scratch. I mean, you got to get new blood in there. The Aaron Rodgers, the Aaron Rodgers project, it failed. It completely failed. You blew it. He blew his Achilles immediately when he got there, came back, and you guys almost did worse with him coming back than you would have if he wasn't there at all. I think they have a few more wins, honestly. They got talent on the roster. So, yeah, if I'm the owner, all that buddy with Aaron Rodgers, it just is what it is. I mean, maybe Aaron can go work with Pat McAfee full time, and Tom Brady, he's broadcasting now, he's making it look good. Guys are retiring in style. Like you don't gotta go out this way.
He's got a Netflix show coming out.
Yeah.
Who, Rodgers?
Murders. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there you go.
His dark was it Dark Retreats or whatever he calls them.
Is it a doc or is it a
it's a doc on
show?
him about his retreats and all the stuff that the ayahuasca and how.
Okay. Well, yeah, He's
don't
1 foot
care.
out. He's 1 foot out the door anyway. He got his 100. You got his what? 100 million. We get
Something
50 million
crazy.
2 years.
Yeah.
He got his.
Yeah.
Got your 100 million. I mean, go join up with McAfee and have a segment over there. Sit back, do your ayahuasca or whatever, and just cool out. It is what it is. But the Jets, the future is officially bright once they officially say that he's out of there.
Yeah, I agree. Like, you gotta let him go. Anything associated with him, go get some capital for. Is Devontae a free agent?
No, I think he's
No.
got like a couple of years left on that contract.
Yeah, get him out of here,
You can
because
trade
the
him.
thing
I can
is,
trade him. Go ahead, trade him.
yeah, you got to get rid of anything associated with Aaron Rodgers. Go find what's left of old boy, the little offensive coordinator. Get him out of there. Any trace or connection to Aaron Rodgers, get it out. It's toxic.
Gotta go.
You need to start over. Build that team around Sauce Gardner, around Garrett Wilson, and Brees Hall. And get them a quarterback in there. They got a couple decent tight ends. Get you another receiver to go with Garrett Wilson, and then you'll see your luck change. If I'm them, I'm bringing Sam Darnold home. Bring him home. Bring him home and get you another receiver.
And also, I want to shout out Hassan Reddick for stealing money. The steal of the year. This man, guess how many sacks he has for the season?
I'm assuming 0.
Half.
Half
a sack.
Well, that makes me feel better because
stealing money.
I wanted him on the Ravens. But...
No,
I think the Hassan Reddick thing, I don't think that's a talent thing for him.
Yeah.
I don't think he wants to be there.
Yeah.
He don't want to be there.
He don't. He getting that check.
I think guarantee he ball out wherever else he goes and he's a free agent next year. I guarantee he balls out that next season. He don't want to be there.
Get paid, get traded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But speaking of that, the Sam Darnold situation. So the Vikings, did they play? The Vikings? No.
The Vikings.
They did. They beat the Falcons, 42-21.
Falcons.
The play obviously that sticks in my brain is that Justin Jefferson touchdown, where the safety or
DB?
cornerback,
I think it was
it's
corner.
like
he was guarding a ghost, I think.
10 yards away from Justin Jefferson. He's like peeking over his shoulder, like, do you see? He's right there in the middle of the field.
And fell.
He's looking over like this and fell down and stayed there. Jefferson didn't catch the ball and walk backpedaled to the end zone. That's another question. The Vikings say they make the playoffs. There's a good chance they will. McCarthy will be healed from his injury in the next season. Obviously put a lot of draft capital into him, first round pick. Do you pay Sam Darnold? Do you give him like a 1 year, 2 year deal? Kind of let JJ sit there. I'll say this, watching Michigan last year, I don't think JJ, especially with the year being out because he got hurt, he's kind of behind a little bit. He needs some time to develop as a quarterback. He was okay at Michigan, right? He benefited from a good defense and a good solid running game there. Sam Darnold's doing wonders right now. It's good problems to have. But if JJ doesn't turn out to be the guy and Sam Darnold goes back to the Jets, they bring him home because that's definitely a Jet move. That would be a Jet move for sure. They bring him back, and then all of a sudden they start blowing up.
Yeah.
What do you do if you're the Vikings right now? What do you do? Or is that an off-season question? We're not even worried about that right now. That's something we got to deal with, in March.
I think they feel like they're in a window right now. That's slim pickings, and that boy Sam Darnold just threw for 347 and 5 touchdowns on Sunday.
Yeah.
So honestly, if I'm Vikings ownership, that's something that's not leaving my mind, and I'll be really hard pressed to let him walk out of that door after the way he's performed. Not just this game, but like mainly all year. I mean, it's only been a couple all season. It's been a couple of games maybe where he hasn't looked, his perfect self. But this man has clearly improved his game. Like, he's not the same Sam Darnold. He's in the best situation that he could probably be in, and I think it'll be a risky move from Sam Darnold to allow himself to go back to the Jets right now. I think it sounds good, though. Like, if I'm the Jets, I'm definitely probably pulling for Sam Darnold to come back. I'm not saying that way. But I'd be a little hesitant if I was Sam Darnold because you know what your career was over there. The owner is still the same. The owner has not changed over there. Obviously, the coach is different, but you're not guaranteed the result. And also, you're asking a man to leave Justin Jefferson. Like, do you want to do that? I mean, Justin Jefferson, he's been on a scoring drought lately, which it finally ended this past weekend. But that's just JJ, man. Like, you cannot guarantee that type of success over there. You go over there, like Corey said, that Jets O line. I mean, you're not guaranteed to. I mean, they're better now, but you're going back to an infrastructure that did not have your best interests when you were there. So me, making that a revolving door, I just think that's not really the best idea. No matter how much of a good idea it may look for the Jets, from their perception, absolutely I want them. But if I'm the Vikings, man, I had trouble sleeping if I let him walk out, knowing that he had the season that he's had. I mean, this is like Saquon Barkley walking out of New York, them just letting him leave, but not quite as crazy. Let me not gas it too much, but that's how I would feel as the owner, though. I would not be able to sleep at night if I let him walk out of that door after this kind of season.
I don't know. I say this, man. You know the pressure that comes with getting a high draft pick out there.
Yeah.
So I think it's. I'm looking at it like this: can they afford him? Can they afford it? Because, in about 4 years, JJ McCarthy is gonna. Well, no, in about 3 years, JJ McCarthy is going to be up for an extension.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to come fast. Pause. But Justin Jefferson got paid. Aaron Jones is showing out, so he's going to have to get paid because he signed a 1 year. Jordan Addison's getting paid
he
pretty soon.
Out. Yeah.
You get what I'm
Going
saying?
crazy.
So it's like you got all these guys to pay. So are you going to pay Sam Darnold now, or are you going to wait and ride this rookie contract out? And that's the tough thing because they have to really think about like what this man does down the stretch. I think the decision on Sam Darnold will be made in the playoffs. If he shows out in the playoffs, we know we got a franchise quarterback. Yeah, we're gonna pay that money. We're gonna figure out what we're gonna do with JJ. But if he struggles in the playoffs, it's like, all right, we have the leverage to either lowball him or we can let him walk and we'll start the future with JJ. Because they can think in their minds, we got Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, Justin Jefferson, Josh Oliver, Aaron Jones on this offense.
Yeah.
We have a good coach. We have a solid defense. We can make this happen. We can make this happen with JJ at quarterback. Take a couple lumps, but he's the future. If I'm Sam Darnold, man, I'm looking at
paid
the
elsewhere,
Jets.
right?
I'm looking at the Browns. I'm looking at the Raiders.
Right. Yeah.
I'm looking at the Giants. I'm looking at the Colts. And to be honest, I may be looking at the Falcons.
Well, they got Penix.
I may be.
They got Penix.
But Penix is old. Penix will be 26 next year.
20, yeah, he was 25 when he got drafted, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't look at Penix as a franchise quarterback. He's going to be a bridge for somebody else. But I don't know. That's how I'm looking at it for them. Like they're going to make the decision in the playoffs, and it's going to come down to what Sam Darnold does then. So it's a lot up in the air.
Yeah.
No, you're right. Especially pay. Like I was looking at his contract, he's got like 4 void years. He's a free agent as of 2025, but there's like void years in his contract. So I'm not sure how that works. Like if they can just pick up the deal and then renegotiate, I don't know how that's going to work. But I would at least assume if he decides to leave in free agency, I would say that the Vikings would the door would still be open. The door would be open. I think they would have their number. I know he's only had 1 year. He's had a really good year, but it's been 1 year. He does have a lot of bad years behind there. So they like kind of work against him. It's one of those, we'll let you hit the market. We have JJ. I think at the end of the day, the X factor for this is their coach, their O'Connell. Kevin O'Connell has been the reason why Sam Darnold is playing the way he is. And you would assume he can get JJ to play at that level too. So if you're the Vikings, you're like, we got our number, and if you feel like you can get more elsewhere, then all good luck to you.
Make another hove.
Yeah, we got
Too
Kevin O'Connell.
soon.
Kevin O'Connell's been our quarterback whisperer. Like, we'll find another one. So, let's talk about this Bills Rams game before we move on to our Bells and Pookies for the week or whatever. Phenomenal football game. First of all, phenomenal football game. Puka Nacua. That dude is how do the Rams just find these guys?
Fantasy
yeah,
legend.
Cooper Kupp was a late round draft pick. You know, Puka Nacua I think was also a late round draft pick, and
yeah, he was.
He's out there. I mean, like the catches, he's stretching out, toe tapping, like he's doing all the stuff out there. They have a solid run game. Was it Kyron Williams? I know because he's on all three of my fantasy teams. He's been killing it for me every week.
Mm-hmm.
Stafford, we thought his arm was dead. There were reports in the offseason about his arm and his elbow and all the other stuff that it might be dead, that the arm strength is gone. He's still balling out there. Then Josh Allen on the other side of the ball scores 3 passing touchdowns and 3 rushing touchdowns. Coming off the game, the game last week where it was the one stat where he got credited for throwing a touchdown and rushing for a touchdown because Amari Cooper allowed it back to him. It was something like that, some stat.
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah, he caught it and lateraled it to him, and he ran in for the touchdown in the corner.
So it was a phenomenal game. I think the Rams are a team to be dealt with. The NFC West is going to be very fun to watch in these last few weeks because the Seahawks, the Rams, and the Cardinals. 49ers, I think, they're waiting for somebody to they're just waiting for somebody to just take the pasture at this point. They're done. Has Josh Allen locked up the MVP? Because I know Lamar has had great games. Lamar has had great games earlier in the season. But it feels like the last couple games now, especially by week 2 when we didn't see Lamar Jackson on the TV, Josh Allen has been doing some wild stuff. The last 6 touchdowns? Look, unless Lamar goes out in this Giants game and scores like 5 touchdowns or something like that, has like I think he had that earlier this year. He had like a 5 touchdown game.
Yeah, he did.
It's a recency thing, right? I felt Lamar had these games earlier this season, but at this point in the year, we're getting towards we only got 4 games left.
Yeah. I don't know. I think honestly, I think Saquon's still closer in that race than Josh. I think Saquon still might have it, probably tied with Josh. Lamar is kind of murky, like you said. Lamar's had, as far as MVP credentials, has been kind of a skid for him. But we still have some big games coming up. I mean, the Giants game is going to come and go. They're not going to credit him with too much that he does in that game just because it's the Giants. But you still got to show up. You still got to do what you do. So if he annihilates them and then come back and then against the Steelers he has a good game, I think that puts him right back where he was. I think that Steelers game is going to be the indicator because obviously he has not performed well against the Steelers. It would probably move mountains in the MVP race if he goes out and dominates in that game specifically. So I think it'll be more of that. But honestly, I think the fact that, I don't know if they're going to give it to a running back. And I think, just whoever's voting, they might have a little bit Lamar fatigue. And I think that might be the reason if he doesn't win that he doesn't win. Mm-hmm. But, Saquon, we talked about it earlier, how the Eagles are winning games. They're winning games solely off of Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley's literally been doing it himself. He's been getting multiple touchdowns a game. He's been getting over 100. He's about to, he's going for records at this point. So, he still has a solid argument. Josh Allen, what he's done is not to be ignored, though. I mean, Josh Allen has been playing phenomenal. I mean, his numbers are kind of similar to Lamar's.
Yeah, minus the rushing touchdowns.
Minus the rushing TDs. Lamar still, is up there with them. And we tend to forget Lamar blew this team out. Lamar, the Ravens, we won this game 35-10 when we played the Bills, but it was so early in the season, nobody cares, and everybody seems to forget that. But, if you got two guys in the MVP race and you have a head-to-head matchup to use that example, I mean, I'm still using that example myself. I mean, it was still a tough game we had to play. And look how he looked against everybody else. Look how he looked against us. So, to me, that's still an argument for Lamar. But, yeah, I mean, I let's just say this. Whoever gets MVP this season, out of those three, I'm not upset.
We got to stop moving the goalposts for white men. We got to stop. We got to stop. I'm saying it like this, man. He has 3 games under 150 yards passing. He has a multi-interception game. Let's not forget the 9 for 30 game. We can't forget the 9 for 30 game.
That was awful.
Forgot about that.
We can't forget it. Josh Allen has had a good year. He's had a great year. But we are not going to hype up this 3 passing touchdown, 3 rushing touchdown game when nobody was playing defense that whole game and he lost. When Lamar throws for 5 touchdowns, what happens? Eat that W. You know what I mean?
Jameson.
When Josh Allen runs for 3 touchdowns and throws for 3 touchdowns, what happens? They lose. Let's reel it back in. If he won, I'll be like, all right, he's back in it. Him, Saquon, Lamar, it's neck and neck. But no, I think Saquon still has a slight edge over Lamar. But let's not bring this man in here. Yes, good game, but no. Because just the week before, he threw for 140 yards against the 49ers. I'm not impressed. I'm not. No.
Let me
Great
ask you
season,
this.
though.
Let me ask you this. They got the Lions this week. Let's say he goes out and he beats Jared Goff, and the numbers support. The numbers support the win. Do you slightly move back into that? Do you give him do you give him more credit? I'll say, or does it just remains everything you just said? Does anything change if he goes out and dominates the Lions on Sunday?
Because remember, he scored 6 touchdowns and they still lost.
Yeah.
And they moved. He's still number 1 because he scored 6 touchdowns. Let's
say he puts another game up like that and they beat the Lions.
Yeah,
you feel different. Yeah. With all that being said, that's a lot of games.
Stubbornly, I would have to put him to number 1 because the thing is, you put that line up back to back, and then you beat one of the best teams who some people feel is the Super Bowl favorite.
Yeah.
That's a whole different story.
Yeah. You might actually just float to the Super Bowl at that point if you have back-to-back performances like that.
Like, you put these numbers up against a 6-7 team and lost.
Yeah. Facts. Yeah. That's true.
So,
yeah. No, Corey made a good point though. If the Ravens somehow pull this division out and win the thing, they go beat the Steelers, they beat the Browns, whenever the last went out basically and end up winning the division. Considering the AFC North was a much more competitive division than the AFC East was.
True. That's true.
But again, I think like Corey just said, Lamar the voter fatigue. Do they want to give Lamar the MVP for 3 years in a row? I don't know. It's one of those to wait and find out. Also to mention, Saquon needs to average 120.5 yards for the next 4 games to break Eric Dickerson's record for single season rushing record. It's possible. He can do it.
Yeah, because they ain't throwing the ball.
It's doable.
Now, I'm about to say, if he does do it, if he does it,
he's got to win.
You know what that means for AJ?
Yeah, he out.
Yeah. He gone. He's requesting a trade. I'm out.
That's what they're gonna remember. Saquon got AJ out of there.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on.
He already got McCoy's Shady's record out of there.
Bells and Pookies. I'll let you guys start. Who are our bells this week?
I'm not saying that, man. So y'all can say it.
I wasn't gonna say his name either. I mean, I think we talked about him enough.
Yeah,
and
he got his own segment.
It is what it is. But I'm giving Bryce Young a bell. We're on bells, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna give Bryce Young a bell. I mean, he basically won that game. It came down to a drop by his receiver in the end zone. He caught the ball, slid in the end zone, and dropped it. So, but just he's getting a bell not just for that game, but just the last few games. I mean, he just putting together a clinic of performances where he's had his team in all of these games, and he's been largely responsible for all of it. Between him and Chuba Hubbard, they're looking like a well-oiled machine over there, and it's just really, really good bright spots for the future. To come in there and almost beat the Eagles, I mean, that's also just a kind of like an alert for the Eagles. Like, like you said, Travis, you let the Panthers come in there in your house specifically and almost knock y'all off is kind of crazy. So yeah, I gave Bryce Young. Pookey was my other one because he's on my fantasy squad, and he's just going crazy. I mean, every game he's getting at least 10 catches. He got, I think, 12 catches, 160 something yards, a couple of TDs. Like, what we talking about? And I just gave it to Jared Goff only because, I always call him, he's a game manager. He's like one of the best game managers in the league. And, a lot of their success is predicated, on that play calling, which is amazing. And also those two phenomenal running backs. They didn't really have to lean on the running backs as much. I mean, he still, as a team, ran for over 100 yards. But, I mean, I think David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs had like under 50, 60 yards apiece maybe in that game. And Jared Goff, he did his thing. And this is a quarterback who, like, he had that 5 interception game, and they still won. Like, to bounce back in consecutive weeks with just consistent performance. I'm gonna just give him a bell for that, just for consistency. It's just a very, very consistent team, and they're playing good teams. Like the Packers, that was some good competition there. Jordan Love is no slouch himself. But just giving the Lions credit. I mean, they're blowing teams out they're supposed to blow out. And when they're playing good teams, they're still getting a W somehow. They got the Bills coming up. I'm very excited to see that game. But, I'll just throw Jared Goff some credit with those Lions, even though, I still don't think they it. But I give them credit this week. And that's it for the Bills.
Yeah.
I mean, I had some more, but I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I don't have many, man. I mean, I haven't been impressed with football over this past week. Maybe just because the Ravens.
There were some trash games. There were some bad games.
Yeah, there was no standout performers.
Yeah, very uninspired week.
Yeah. So outside that Rams-Bills game, it was a lot of trash games this week.
Yeah.
I don't know, because I will say Jamar Chase, my number one wide receiver on my fantasy football league.
Oh, yeah, mine too. I got him too.
That 40-yard touchdown at the end of the game.
Yeah. I started out my season 0-5, but I got into those playoffs. I think I got into the playoffs 8-6 after starting out 0-5, and I credit that man Jamar Chase for carrying my team week. And I said I blew up my whole team minus Jamar Chase and Jalen Waddle.
He did it single-handedly against those Ravens games, man. He probably got you 45 points
in his past game. 14 catches, a PPR league. 14 catches, 177 yards. What was it, 2 tutties?
Yeah.
2.
And some rushing yards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he got me.
This guy is phenomenal.
Yeah, he put up some crazy numbers. I can't even find a week, but yeah.
It's like every time you blinked in that game, he was getting a first down or getting a catch or running the ball. Like, this man has had an unstoppable season, and he didn't get his contract.
Nope.
He just came back to work. I
mean, he's been working.
Well, you know what I got to say to that? Bye, T. Higgins. You ain't getting paid because
T. Higgins going.
Jamar Chase is going to reset the market.
Come on home, T. Higgins. Come on home.
He screwed me for my parlay. Man, I literally just needed him to do anything, and I would have won bread. I would have won big bread too.
Yeah, I just needed 40 yards.
He did nothing. Me too. 40 yards.
$1,600.
Mine would have been like a stack. Unfortunate.
But that's my bell, Maz. I'm sorry.
Right.
We were vibing over here.
It's fine. My bell, I give it to Bill Belichick for signing his deal with University of North Carolina, becoming their new head coach, which is a move I did not expect for Bill Belichick to go to the college ranks, with NIL and all that other stuff. So that'll be interesting to see, how that works out with Bill Belichick, especially, and how he kind of ran things in New England. So with NIL is going to be a little different, but we'll see. So, but congrats to him getting back in the head coaching gig and. For that. Another bell goes to, I'm going to give it to Cade York from the Bengals, from the simple fact that his girlfriend is a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader.
Saw that.
He's a kicker.
Yep.
Shout out to you, Cade York. Shout out to you, man.
And shout out to his girl for holding him down. Because when he making the field goals, they showed on the sideline.
You saw, right? She was like, God. She was like, she's Dallas Cowboy cheerleader boy rooting, and I think somebody was calling her out. Like, shouldn't she be rooting for the Cowboys? Like, she rooting for her man.
I respect her.
Rooting for her man. Like, look, holding him down.
Listen. She in Dallas. Like, what you wanted to do?
Right. She's like, look, I'm working. I got the uniform on.
She barely working. There ain't nothing to cheer for over there.
Right.
I know.
She's like,
just chilling.
So shout out to him. For sure.
Wasn't familiar with your game, young man.
Yeah, Cade York. I think he got signed like a couple weeks ago. Like, he ain't only been there. He ain't been there that long. So shout out to him. I think that's all I got for bells. That's all I got.
That's how you know it's a slow week.
Yeah, slow week. So we're going to our Pookies for this week. Pookey, I'll start off. My Pookey goes to whoever that safety or cornerback was for the Atlanta Falcons. He gets Pookey. He might be Pookey of the year just off of that one play alone. That was awful.
Crazy.
Move over, Will Levis.
This man was looking for the ball on the wrong side of the field, and not even looking for Justin Jefferson.
Like to the other side.
The first thing he should have done was look for Justin Jefferson and then find the ball. Like, forget that. Where's JJ at?
You can't even claim him as a body for real, because it's like, damn, I didn't even kill you. Like, you won yourself.
No. That was a Pookey for me. The Bears get a Pookey.
What the Bears
from me. Caleb Williams, look, I get it, his rookie year and everything, but he's been ass for real. Like, I know Jalen's not throwing the football. But he isn't either. So,
man, that's a good one.
Yeah, look, he had 134 for 2 touchdowns, but I mean, they got blown out. They had like 84 yards of total offense. No, it was a negative yardage, I think, after the first quarter or something like that. -4 yards. Somewhere, like, it was the Bears. The Bears and Caleb Williams. Get another Pookey from me. I don't think anybody else.
It's always more.
Slow week, man.
Yeah, slow week.
Oh, man.
I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. That's it for me.
All right. I'm going to give my
another Pookey.
Oh,
Jay-Z. Jay-Z gets a Pookey for me. Getting caught up in all this Diddy mess.
Hey, man, I heard I heard you trying to extort that, man. I
don't know what's going on there.
We'll wait till some more information drops.
They already mentioned the NFL could nix his deal, apparently, the deal he's got with the NFL.
Oh, no, they came out and said they ride with him.
Yeah, they said he ride with him. I doubt they do that. They got too much money on the line right now. That Super Bowl coming up.
Yeah. Even they said, look, Snoop Dogg said it. Snoop Dogg was like, look, before Jay-Z, a lot of black acts weren't getting the Super Bowl as prime acts. So whatever he's been making sure rap has been and hip hop has been in the forefront in these Super Bowl performances. So, still, Diddy gets a Pookey for me. Diddy gets a Pookey. Getting all these people messed up and all this stuff.
All right, man. First Pookey, Cowboys. The fact that y'all game went. You want that one? I'll let you have that one, Travis. I'm gonna skip.
I'm going for the specific person. Right, you can go overall.
Okay, because I was going off that block punt. I was going off that block punt.
Me too.
Yeah, all right. I'm gonna leave the Cowboys alone just because I think they always on my list every week anyway. Kirk Cousins, man, what is going on? What is going on over there? He can't throw a touchdown pass to save his life anymore. Him and Kyle Pitts, is literally the most useless 6'6", 200-something pound tight end I've ever seen in my life. Like, I don't know what he's doing out there. How are you built like LeBron James and just do nothing every week? Like, your numbers are disgusting every week. One catch a game, like, it's just not a good look. He's definitely a Pookey. He's been on that list for a while for me too. And I hate to do this, man. The Browns is getting a Pookey from me. Who do they think they are? They think they're the greatest show on turf or something? Like, why do we got Jameis out there doing that type of shit? Like, sorry, excuse my language, but you've got Nick Chubb and Jerome Ford. Jerome Ford he's been getting like 5 yards a clip, and he just won't run the ball. It's crazy. And against the Steelers team, like, I get that Jameis is Jameis. We get he's a gunslinger, if you want to call him that. I mean, I think it's more of like a, he's just dropping back and just throwing it up there. Like, yes, he's had some special games and some special moments, but you can't just keep marching him out there with the game plan of an identity that is not y'all identity. The fact that y'all just eliminating running the game altogether is just confusing to me. It made sense against certain teams like that, that Denver game, maybe it made a little bit more sense. But in a game against the Steelers, like, why are you allowing like TJ Watt and Highsmith and all these guys to just tee off on your quarterback? I just don't get it. It was a close game. Like, you could have controlled that game on the ground if you chose to. So I think that's more of a Stefanski issue. He's getting a Pookey for me this week, and I like Stefanski. I don't got no, he's cool. Like, I like that he believes in Jameis, but you can still try to win some games on the way out. Yeah, the season isn't done yet. That's it.
All right. The Cowboys. Tie game. About 2 minutes left.
Mm-hmm.
Ball in Cincy territory. Cincinnati goes to punt the ball back to the Cowboys. The Cowboys block it. They block the punt. Amani, I don't know how to say your last name, tried to field the ball instead of just letting it go. He would have let it go. The Cowboys had the ball in field goal range with 1:50 left. But this man tries to field the ball. I don't know if he thought he was about to go score a touchdown. Selfish ball. And then it bounces off of him or whatever. Cincinnati recovers it. Cincinnati's ball. You know what happened. That boy Jamar Chase. And so the Cowboys lost.
Crazy.
When if he just let it go, Cowboys would have won. So I got to give my one single Pookey to my man Amani. Amani, you out of here, bro.
Remember that Stephon Diggs touchdown in Minnesota? Before
you want to know?
It looked
you want to know who that was?
Looked just like that.
Marcus Williams.
You know who that was?
Marcus Williams. Yep. That brought me right back to that moment.
Yeah. Corey's got a couple Pookies. He's got Pookey from Micah in his post-game comments. I do remember that he said this feels worse than a playoff loss. He said that. And several guys were like, well, it makes sense for Dallas because they don't know what it feels like to lose in the playoffs outside of losing to the Packers. So they don't have a lot of history in the last 20 years of losing the playoffs. I get
it. he was really hurt about that game. Like,
you saw him around the sideline.
That game meant something to him. I think that was his like last ditch effort of securing some type of pride.
Yeah,
some type of
he
pride.
He better go cry in the car when he was throwing. He walked to the exit by himself. Like
he was hurt. Yeah.
And then another Pookey goes to Drake for apparently trying to buy out Kendrick's tickets in Toronto. Seats in Toronto. So
Drake got to stop, man.
Drake taking all the L's right now, man.
He is
suing everybody but Kendrick.
He's getting
suing everybody
L's.
but Kendrick.
Yeah.
He said Knicks get a Pookey as well for letting Trae Young on them again in the cup. I saw it last night. Yeah, the playoffs. Yeah, it's disrespectful.
Did y'all see the Hawks tweet?
Nah, I missed it.
Mm-mm.
Oh man! So they put up Trae Young with the Man at the Garden, the Kendrick song behind him, and it was something else under it. But like, yo, Knicks fans are like losing it over that.
Man.
Not bad. Anyway, we move on to Ravens and Giants preview. So obviously, look,
It's gonna be quick.
the line for this game will be quick. We'll be quick with this game. So the line for this game is at 16.5 points, largest spread in NFL history. This is the largest spread in NFL history. It's an away game for the Ravens. 16.5 point spread in their favor. Coming off a bye week, I think it's very simple in this game. Get back to running the football. Get back to the defense is doing what it's doing. That we saw the injury report. Most guys are healthy. I think Sanusi Kane was hurt, and I think Adisa Isaac was also, I think, dealing with a hamstring. He didn't practice, but for the most part, everybody's playing. This is hopefully for the bye week for them. Get back to what you do best in this game. I expect the Ravens to win this game by 3 scores. This is a 3-score game for the Ravens. I expect Lamar Jackson to be out of the game by the end of the third quarter. Like, this is that kind of game. Go and whip their ass and get out of town. Like, this is that kind of game you need to do. Don't do like what the Eagles did against the Panthers and several of these other teams, these good teams struggling against bad teams. Kyle Hamilton mentioned it during the press conference. He said, look, we lost to the Raiders early this year, and they're 2-10. So we can't take anybody lightly. I mean, the Giants got a lot of guys on IR. You know, Tommy DeVito is starting right now because Drew Lock injured his heel or whatever it may be. But all your guys are healthy. You're clearly the better team. There is no reason you should win this game by more than 3 scores. Lamar Jackson doesn't need to throw the ball more than 25 times in this game. Get Derrick Henry his 10-plus touches in this game. Maybe not 10-plus, 15 to 20. Give him this 15 to 20 carries in this game. I would love to see Keaton Mitchell get involved more in this running game offense for sure. I also think going forward, this defense needs to start forcing takeaways. Not hoping the offense makes mistakes, forcing takeaways, punching the ball out, jumping routes, whatever that may be. They need to start forcing takeaways. I don't think they continue winning football games later in this season and into the playoffs if they don't start trying to force takeaways. They can't keep hoping that teams are going to make mistakes, because when they play the Steelers, if they play the Chiefs, they play the Bills, the way these teams are rolling right now, they're not going to make those kind of mistakes. You got to force them to make those kind of mistakes. If you want to work out some things on defense, some different schemes and stuff, this is the game to do that. Same thing on offense. Get back to what you did. Look back at those first 7 weeks. Get back to what you do best, and they can start rolling. They got to win this game by at least 2.5, 3 scores. If this game is a struggle game, I don't like the way this pans out for the rest of the season. That's it for me.
Treat him like a $30 hooker, man. Get in, get out. Get in, go to that game. You know, healthy. If there's some guys that we can even not play, I'm actually cool with that as well. I do not think for a second we still need to look past this team, because the Ravens just don't have the luxury of looking past teams. Apparently, one way or the other, they'll find a way to make it a game. And this is not one of them weeks that we can afford to do that. I think it's going to be a very telling football game, because against bad teams, you're still expected to play to a certain standard. And I think, take the Lions, for example. If they play a bad team, they're not just going to beat the bad team. They're going to beat the brakes off of a bad team. And in the meantime, they're going to be trying out plays in that game to figure out what they can do for the next week. So it's an opportunity to see what we got. We're coming off a bye week. We have to rediscover our identity. I think that's a big thing that they have to work on this week, is rediscovering their identity. And like I said, stay healthy, man. This is a Giants team who's obviously struggling, but they still have Malik Neighbors on that team. And I know, DeVito is not the quarterback that, concerns me in the slightest bit, but, Malik Neighbors is still there. We still got to play defense. Our secondary issues seem to have been we're not giving up a lot of points, so that's a good thing. I think we need to keep doing that. This should be the game where we give up the least points. I want to see them attempt to pitch a shutout in this game. I'm not saying that's going to happen because I agree with you, Miles. I don't foresee Lamar having to play this whole game because, like I said, health and it's the Giants. But it's still a week that you don't want to look past. But we just want to see what we've talked about already. I want to see some creativity in the offense. I want to see some guys get their confidence back. I want to see this defense get their swagger back. I mean, yes, they've been playing well, but is it still the defense that teams are scared to see? No, teams are not scared of this defense, and I think they kind of have to start building that reputation back now that they've kind of got some of the technical issues resolved. I think now it's time to go in and put a stamp on it and start to show the league who y'all really are. Hopefully, they can kind of boast that confidence this weekend against the Giants. And offensively, do what you do, man. Just don't handcuff this offense. Let this, take the handcuffs off this offense and let them cook. We want to see the toss plays to Henry. We want to see the screens to Justice Hill and not just on third and long. We want to see screen passes to Justice Hill. We want to see, Zay down the field. We want to see him in a screen game. We want to see Bateman kind of build off. Bateman had a huge game. I can't remember what game it was, but he cooked somebody in the end zone. It might have been the Denver game. I can't remember what game he caught that touchdown in his chest in the back of the end zone. But let him cook, man. Let your receivers go off and see what you got. Like, TJ Tampa, I'm not sure if he's playing, but I would love to see what we got with him.
He's listed as active. He wasn't on. He was.
If he's active, okay.
Full participant.
I would love to see him on that field. Get some guys in to see what we really have with this unit, and blow them out. Like, yes, I said get in and get out, but blow this team out. Put up some numbers on this team. Put up some stats. Get Lamar this MVP. I know we don't care about that right now, but come on, man. Like pad these stats against this team. Like make it a statement game. I know it's the Giants, but make a statement out of this.
Blow their doors off.
Exactly. Blow them doors off. Just like that.
Well, I have a different take, Trey.
That's fine.
It's don't F this up.
Yeah.
Don't F this up. No, I think look, you just gotta go in and play ball. That's it. You gotta go in and play ball. We spend way too much time playing around with these teams. Go in, impose your will from the jump. Like I've been saying, get in a rhythm early, and then shove it down their throats. Yes, all Diddy. Shove it down their throats. Give them dose after dose of Derrick Henry.
Oh, hey, yo.
Dose after dose.
Dose after dose of Derrick Henry is crazy.
Hey, I'm just saying, like, my man got the braids in.
Yo, he almost made my Pookey list. He almost made my Pookey list. He did get a shot.
Man, the braider guy get the Pookie, bro.
Yeah, you gotta get Lamar's braider, man.
They said they gave him the Omar braids, man. Omar from the wire, dog.
Oh man, that's crazy. But nah, they gotta run the ball and take your big plays down the field. Defensively, turnovers. Look, Danny DeVito playing, all right, and he's not the greatest quarterback in the world. We should walk away with 2 interceptions. They don't have a game breaker on this team that they can get the ball to. Malik Neighbors, he's going to be a guy, but he's not there yet. Wandale Robinson, that guy only catches 3-yard passes. He doesn't get yak. Tyrone Tracy's a solid running back, but he's no Saquon Barkley. There's no reason for this game to be close. So I plead to you, Harbaugh, don't F it up. Monken, don't F it up. Zach Orr, don't F it up. Ravens, do not F this up. Play ball. Get with your identity, which is running the ball, getting in rhythm early, and then dominate the rest of the game. That's the key. Nothing else. I don't have much to say. Don't F it up.
I like that plan.
At the end of the day, you're looking at the next big game for them. I mean, you got Houston coming up on Christmas Day, obviously, but Pittsburgh. That's for the division. And you gotta get right up here. You gotta get right up here. You like I said, you start playing around and letting these teams that should be you getting beat by 3 scores hang around. you're not gonna be ready for Pittsburgh. Like you're not gonna be ready.
I
So
forgot all about that Houston game, bro. Like,
yeah. Houston game.
I don't know if it's the bye week. I skipped right over that game. I completely forgot about
No,
Houston.
that's what I'm saying. Like we're that Pittsburgh game is everything.
Yeah,
That Steelers game is everything. That's gonna be everything for the Ravens. And we're gonna see
if Lamar go off on Christmas though.
Like I said, we'll wait and see. But anyway, before we get out of here, what's our scores? We got
100-0. No, let me think. Listen, I'm going to say 42 to 9 is the score.
Okay.
That's what I got. That's what the score should be.
Right. Okay.
We'll see what happens, but I think they can do that this week.
42-10. If it don't happen, we're firing Harbaugh on Monday. This game is within 14 points. Harbaugh got to go Monday.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
I don't think they score 40. I think it's going to be. I think it's one of they'll be well enough, hopefully well enough ahead, but they don't have to. So I think 35-10.
35-10
in this game.
Let me check the
It's going to be cold, but it's not going to be wet, not going to be rainy or anything. I checked earlier.
Okay.
They got a 10% chance of rain or something like that.
Where are they playing? Rutherford? Is that MetLife?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. Ooh,
So it's gonna be cold. It's gonna be cold, but 35-10 for the Ravens. So, all right. Well, that's it for this. So we're down the home stretch. 4 games left. Down the home stretch here. So it's every game. I mean, every game does matter, and only a 18 game schedule. But for the Ravens, these 4 games are gonna be the most important 4 games of their season. So hopefully they get this W and move on and get ready for who is it? The Steelers after this? I think it's the Steelers. And the Texans? No.
I think so.
The Steelers and the Texans?
Damn. Hold on. Let me see. That bye week was crazy, man. Hold up.
Texans, Browns. Steelers, Texans, Browns.
So the Steelers is first. Okay.
Steelers, then Texans, and Browns. Yeah. So like I said, that Steelers game is everything. You're getting ready. This is a tune-up game for that Steelers game. Get right.
Yeah.
So, all right, folks. That's it from us. We'll catch y'all later. Everybody have a good week. Hopefully the Ravens get a W. Peace.
Peace.